You are tuned in to Shotgun Sports USA, recorded in the U.S. and streaming all over the world. We talk to shotgun shooters from all disciplines, championship-winning coaches, gun clubs, world-class target setters, vendors, and industry-leading companies that fuel the sport. Check us out online at shotgunsportsusa.com, like us on Facebook, and follow us on Instagram. Shotgun Sports USA is powered by Winchester Ammunition, the American legend. Also brought to you by Cole Gunsmithing, Ultimate Shooting Accessories, Rick Hemingway's Promatic Trap Sales, Sound Gear, Comp and Choke, Clay Shooter Supply, and Clay Target Vision. This week, you're going to hear all you need to know about the upcoming 2022 National Championship in San Antonio, Texas. We talk about how different this year's main event will be, how the targets will be set, the new events added for the first time, new games, and much more. To explain it all, please welcome to the show, Neil Chadwick. Neil, welcome back to the show.
Hey, Justin, good to be back.
Yeah, man. You were on with me, a few months back. Is there anything new that's been going on since I talked to you last?
Well, same, really. Trying to get over this COVID thing. I did get COVID, and it put me on my ass for 3 or 4 days. But over that now, things are still busy at work, so still much the same, really, Justin.
How was long range doing? Doing well?
Yeah, we've got the similar problems to other people, supply chain issues, especially on chips.
Yeah.
And I tell you, they just get, a processor chip that would normally cost me $6. We have to go out to brokers, and the last price I was quoted was $78.
Wow, it's not that much. Wow.
Yeah, well, they can charge what they want. If they've got stock in China or somewhere, and they try it on, but we don't do business with them. We can't we can't soak up that cost.
So what do you do in that case? You just quit building them until you can get them at a cheaper price, or?
Well, I got a couple of projects that sort of have been put on hold until we can get components in. So components that we've got in go to the board manufacturer, and so we're okay on our core stuff, the counters, remotes, and stuff like that. So there's not a problem but I keep an eye on it because it could soon turn into a problem. But it's put me back on a couple of other projects that I've got in the pipeline.
Yeah. Well, this episode we're going to talk about nationals and what's gonna be happening. I know you're a big part of that. And we'll kind of just start from the beginning and go all the way to the end, and starting off with, what is your role or what is your title when it comes to nationals?
Well, it's for the last. Well, I've been setting targets at nationals for 27 years. So obviously early on it was Pete Mash, myself, Barney would set the nationals, and I know it's before your time, but the nationals was set around the course that we currently run the K-Cup on. So it was a 200 birdie event, running around there. And it's just, it's just grown year on year, of course. For the last, 8-9 years, I've been shoot chairman. So event chairman, general dog's body and bottle washer, I suppose you'd call it, really. It starts off early in the year, and I work with Pete closely and the team down at headquarters. But we make sure that we've got the trap sponsors are bringing in the correct number of traps, because we know if we change an event, i.e. this year we've added AFS, of course, which is not too many. I think that's 12 or 14 machines. We've added the ladies event. That's another 14 machines. That we're going to try and increase that this year. So we start fairly early on in the year organizing stuff, organizing the people that are coming in, who's going to set what targets, what color targets we're going to order, right from the ground up, really.
Yeah. So you're in charge of all of that. You're in charge of basically the target setters and how the courses are set.
The way it works is that we've got a number of target setters that come in, me included. You know, I used to set mains, but I've sort of stepped back from that a little bit. For the last few years, I've done FITAS. I enjoy setting FITAS targets. I can catch people out fairly easily setting FITAS. So, and not everybody can make it. So I'll get the list, you know, 6 months in advance, or I'll contact the people and say, hey, can you make it? You know, and usually the gripe is, okay, how long are we going to be there this time? Well, this time I've cut another day off setup time. So whereas it used to be 3 weeks, now we're at about, 2 weeks and 3 days. So we've cut that back a little bit. And once I know who's going to be coming, of course, there's the core people. You know, well, we didn't lose him. He retired. Steve Knoll, great guy, great target setter. He sort of said last year, you know, guys, I've had enough. I went, okay. So he's not there, but Joe Skull, Jason Menke, and a couple of new guys, or Brent Fleming, he's not a new guy. New guy to Flanagan, Nathan Flanagan, Henry. Morgan Harbison from Texas Parks and Wildlife, he's come on setting targets just in a small way. So I'll generally allocate what I want them to set, and they can always come back to me and say, I don't want to do it, and I'll try and accommodate them and change them around. But typically they'll set the courses that I allocate them.
Now, who is setting what courses? Well,
this year, like I just mentioned, sort of I'll be setting the main FITAS. I've got to think now. Start with the mains. Joe Skull will be setting the green. Henry Velasquez from Houston, he'll be setting red. Jason Menke Briley, he'll be setting orange. Nathan Flanagan will be setting yellow.
Who's setting up the AFS course?
Our old buddy Larry Spikes. He inherited that. He was the first one to set it, you know, down in his area. So he knows all the rules. He knows all the distances. He gets his tape measure out, and I just let him go on that. So he's going to be setting AFS, and because he did a good job last year, he's going to be setting sub-gauge FITAS.
Yeah. Now, AFS is something new to nationals.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
So kind of tell me what you feel about that. How do you think that it'll turn out? And how do you think that people will take it being at nationals?
Well, we did do it in April, you know, at World English.
Yep.
Feedback I got, people enjoyed it. It's a different format. It's like FITAS, but it's not. It's like 5-stand, but it's not. They've got this stupid horn that they blow when you hit the X-bird, which is just annoying. But it's fun. It moves along fairly quick. You shoot out of hoops instead of cages. It's a good idea. If people enjoy shooting it, hey, let's put it on for them. This time it's a 3-day event, and I think that's currently full at 160 shooters. Next year, of course, we could add to that and maybe add a few more days to it to get some more people in. But we'll see how it goes this year.
That's right.
Our biggest problem, of course, is where to fit it in. It's just we're getting so short on room, and we're gonna fit it in down on what we call the dozen. It'll be next to the skeet fields and next to the 5-stand on the north and south side of the road.
Yeah. So machines and targets. Let's talk about that for a second. How many machines?
Right.
How many machines are you putting up so far, and how many targets do you expect to throw?
Machines. Oh, the machines will have about 450, and the various sponsors. Apart from what they have, Laporte is the main sponsor for the complex with the skeet machines, plus their sporting and so forth like that. And then Rod at Lincoln, for example, his machines left 3 or 4 days ago, so he's got 120 on maybe one or two trailers. Brent Fleming brings in 65. Jason, who's the Mattarelli dealer, I guess you'd call him, they're a main sponsor, so he brings in 40, 42. So they're all on their way there to nationals, to the complex, so that they're on site when we get there.
Yeah. Are they taken to each course? Like if you need however many, or like, Shondell,
yeah,
they're all delivered. Okay.
Yep. Yeah, because with having so many, this year is a record, and I was adding them up earlier. We will throw, well, that's not necessarily true. We will put out over 2 million targets this year.
And what has it been?
Just under 1.6, 1.7 million.
Wow. It's a big difference.
Yeah, it's a big difference. So, of course, Pete's crew will prep those targets. Now, it's easy when we put a pallet by a machine. It's a pallet. It's 63 cases. That gets put by that machine. Where it comes is that they've got to break down their smaller quantities, so they might have to break a pallet in half of middies, for example. And then we will get a list. All the course setters will get a list of the targets they've got allocated for their course, whether it be orange dome, all black, orange midi, black batu, whatever it is, they know what they've got to work with. So consequently, then we'll sort the machines and put obviously the same machines as the targets they're going to get on the courses that they're going to set.
Well, now you're talking about setting the courses. Let's talk about course difficulty. Will the courses be as they normally are? Is there something that we're going to change? Is it go into that? Let's just talk about the main event.
Okay. Well, this year we've got the Super Squad, which is the Sunday thing, and and you're involved in that in live streaming, filming. So I know there's going to be a couple of live streams going out, and we've thought about what we can do. That Super Squad will be on the green course, and my goal is to make that the most difficult course. Reason being, it takes me back to the old PSCA days. I was fortunate enough when Dan asked me to set the very first PSCA up at, where was that? Able Ammo.
Yeah.
And then another one a little bit later on down at American. Well, I was let free at the PSCA. I could set what I wanted. And it was interesting to me because somebody that had shot 92 in the morning on one course then went on another course and shot an 80. So there was that sort of anticipation of, well, we know that, if you've shot a 92, don't expect to shoot another 92, although you could on that course. So there was always a change in the leader's position. Mm-hmm. So my thought on the hard course, and it won't be over the top. It's not going to be PSCA type courses, but I think it will be somewhat more difficult, where there is an ability for who's on the game could actually maybe jump up a couple of places. If you're not on your game, you could probably lose a couple of places. So with the added pressure of the Super Squad and being live streamed, I want to put a bit of pressure on these guys that you got to concentrate. You got to know what's going on. Otherwise, you're going to lose a target, and that might drop you down one or two places.
Right.
So consequently, one of the courses will be easy. Now, it won't be corporate easy, but it will be noticeably easier than the Sunday course. And then we'll gradually build up with the other two courses where, one will be on the easy side and the other one will be, okay, technical, maybe a little bit more tougher. But, when you set courses like that, what you think is going to be a tough course, some of these guys just eat it up. I mean, just eat it up. So you go, wow. And then something that you might think is easier, some of these guys drop 2 or 3. So on any of the courses, any of these top shooters could shoot lights out.
Why wouldn't you just do it the same for all 4 days like it pretty much has been in the past?
Well, and it has, and the courses have been close in the past, probably within maybe 1 or 2 targets. But everybody always says, oh, the red, that turned out to be the easiest course. Some people go, no, it was the orange. But, they've been fairly close. This year, we've got 400, over 400 now, first-time attendees. Mm-hmm. And if I look at the numbers, there's 50% of the 2,250 entries, 50% are Master AA. That means 50% are A through E. Mm-hmm. I've got to be thinking about those people as well.
Right.
So the goal would be really Master AA on the easy course should be looking to run it, maybe drop 1. If they drop 1, they've got to be careful. But I want the A through E and the first-time attendees to have a good time on that one, hit a few targets. And you've got to remember that a lot of the first-time attendees, obviously they haven't been to nationals before because they're first-time attendees. They're used to their club shoots. And we know that a tremendous number of club shoots put on easy targets, and I don't blame them. They've got to earn a living. So some of their shooters go, I can shoot 90 on our club course. Well, you're not going to do that at nationals. So we have to be careful. I don't want to let them down. I still want to break some. But if they go into it understanding that one of the courses is going to be relatively easy, when you get to the green course, that's going to be relatively hard. So that they can understand that, they can see what they need to improve on, how they do against their peers in their own class. And maybe they are good shooters. Maybe they need to improve a little bit.
You're talking about first-time attendees. How many first-time attendees were there last year? New ones?
About 350, I think.
All right. Did we retain any of those?
Well, it's funny when we look at the numbers. So you say, okay, we got over 400 first-time attendees this year, but our numbers haven't gone up by 400, so we've lost some. So the way that we look at that is that everybody wants to come to nationals at least once or twice. So what we find is that we'll get a person or a family or a group that will come maybe for 2 or 3 years, and then they'll miss it. So those spots are then filled by the first time people coming in, and they'll go, well, I love this. This is fun. It's great. I can find the golden target. I can do this. I can go down Vendors Row and see everybody. I can see the top shots. And we'll come back next year. Other people might go, well, that's just not for me. I'm not coming back. I've done it once. That was on my bucket list. I've done it. So they perhaps won't come back again. They'll go back to shooting their club courses. So to answer your question, that's the amount that we lose is usually taken up by more than that of first-time attendees, if that makes sense to you.
Yeah, so we basically lose what we gain, or gain what we lose, however you look at it.
Yeah, but we've gained a little bit more this time. Like I say, we're up to 2,250 entries as of today. We'll probably end up with over 2,300 because a lot of the locals down there in Texas, they'll come in, and because you can register on the day, you can enter on the day as long as there's spots. So we know that some of them come in and they'll just shoot the K-Cup. They'll come in and they want to shoot the K-Cup, which is up this year. We're just over 1,700 entries in the K-Cup.
Wow.
Which makes that the biggest, that's the biggest 100 bird shoot anywhere in the world.
That's amazing.
Sporting clays, that is, it is. It's amazing. And people have fun around that K-Cup course. They enjoy it.
Yeah, well, you better have a strong golf cart to get you up that hill going into K-Cup.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
I
that's
don't know if
right.
you heard that story one time. Me and Kyle Millwood were riding up a golf cart on that hill, and I think I had to get off just so the cart would get up the hill. So anyway, you better have you a good one. So talk about
Yeah.
where are these people coming from? We have any coming out of England or Australia? Where we have them
Yeah.
coming from?
Well, that's an uptake this year. Canada, and these numbers are not great. I mean, not great, and not large numbers, but and some of these people could be living in the U.S. but still be a citizen of that country. For example, I've got one from Italy.
Okay.
Now he could be living here, but he's Italian, and what's jumped up a lot is the Latin American countries.
Mm-hmm.
Mexico really makes up a really big contingent now. We're currently at about 90. Dominican Republic, one guy there. Jamaica, 4. Colombia, 19. So, we're getting a lot of interest from that area. And I know that Spalding Clays is picking up, certainly in Mexico and, and south of the border. 2 from Australia, 1 from South Africa, 6 from England. So now, of course, none of these people can win the national championship because they're not American citizens.
Right.
But they still choose to come. So it's pretty good. It's really pretty neat,
Yeah. Oh yeah. To get other countries involved is pretty cool. What I always like to see at tournaments is the games, the make or break games, stuff like that. A lot of people have fun with that. A lot of people use that for practice, and then a lot of people use that for messing with their buddies. But
yeah,
I was at Southeast Regional this year, and they put on a game that has been out for a couple of years, I believe, but I saw it for the first time. It's called the Matrix. And a ton of people had fun with that. Is there any plans on having something like that come to nationals?
We're shooting that this year.
Oh, yeah. Nice.
Yeah, we've typically, in the past, we've had 2 make or breaks. So we're going to have a make or break and a matrix. The make or break will be on that skeet field 3, and matrix will be to the west of the stadium, in that where the other make or break used to be. And we've added a little bit of a twist to that, because typically, if they're going to play for money, it always went through to the last Saturday night. So what we've done this year is, both on the matrix and make or break, there's going to be shoot-offs. If you want to play for money, there's going to be a shoot-off on the first Sunday for those 2 days. And that's for both matrix and make or break. And then there'll be a shoot-off again on the Tuesday night for the money for Monday, Tuesday. And then it will run through till Saturday night. So there'll be more money in the pot on the Saturday night shoot-off. So, yeah, I'm excited about getting that Matrix game. I haven't seen it. I've spoke to a lot of people that have shot it, said it's fun, fast-paced. It's sort of it's a cross between Pro Challenge and Make or Break. Got to have your wits about you. Got a little twist in the tail with this double down thing, where if you shoot the pair that you're called for, I believe it doubles your score on that pair. So if it's a 4 and 5 for 9, instead of 9, and you break the pair, if you call double down, you get 18. I think. Don't quote me on that.
Yeah. Yeah, it is a little different than what a lot of people are used to, but a lot of people like shooting it. I saw a big crowd around it at the regional, and I'm sure there'll be a big crowd around it there. Talk about this ladies event. You mentioned that earlier. I know that they do a 50 bird ladies event every year. How does this work, and what kind of skill level is it, and what's it about?
That started back in it's either 2017, 2018, where we put on a 50 bird shoot, ladies only. What's that lady's name? Anne Morrow. And I forget the Texas group. In the morning, if you're a lady, might even be, it's not in the morning, but anyway, you can have a free clinic with the ladies, with the group of ladies, to break some targets and teach you basics of gun and stuff like that. That followed on then, that we gave them their own little competition. and that's it still is a 50 bird competition. 5 stands, although we're going to try and expand that. We've got 6. It was 6 last year. I'm going to try and fit another one in there because the numbers of ladies has increased. It's not huge. So you can go and have a free lesson and then shoot some targets. You can go and shoot some targets. So what have we got? Currently 95 entered in the ladies tournament. It's fun for the ladies. They're not under pressure. There's no guys there. There's no husbands or boyfriends or whatever it might be. The ladies ref, and it's fun. The targets are really easy, and they can just break some targets. And that's just really gained in popularity over the last few years.
Any skill level, right? Anybody's welcome to shoot.
Yeah.
Now, do they keep score, Neil?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they get little trophies, and they keep score, and they get bragging rights at the end of the day. So the ladies can go back to the husband and say, "I won, you didn't," type thing.
A big topic at nationals has always been cheating, right? But that's at any tournament, really. I mean, how is it controlled at the largest tournament of the year? How do you control something that we all look down on, which is cheating?
Well, that's a good question. I'm going to be careful how I phrase this one, I suppose. You've got to look at different aspects of cheating, because obviously we use master sheets. I don't think we've ever had anybody use an eraser to change the score on the scorecards
at that tournament.
At that tournament. Now, there's variations on a theme. We have had somebody change the score on their score sheet with an eraser, and obviously increase it by 1 or whatever, they wouldn't decrease it. Then go back to the referee and go, "What did you put on the master sheet?" And he goes, "Oh, I put a 4. Oh, well, you've got 5 on my score sheet. Can you change your 4 to a 5? So that's somewhat difficult to catch, because obviously in that instance, nobody knows anything about it. We look at scorecards for changes, and obviously we ask the referee to make a notation on the scorecard if they've changed anything, to initial it, whatever it might be, because we look, and Lois and the crew up in registration will go through the scorecards and look for, as they're doing their addition, to look for any sort of obvious signs that a score has been tampered with.
Yeah.
So then you got the cheats. My favorite one. This is just my favorite one of all time, I think, really, is whether it be a true pair or a report pair. Whoever it might be gets in the stand, misses the first target, turns around and says, "Did you shout no bird?" So the referee goes, "Well, no." Well, somebody, I'm sure you shouted no bird. Well, what's the now? If I was the referee, and if it was me, pair lost, get out. But the referee goes, now and the referees have a hard time. They're not experienced. We try and get referees the best we can, but invariably the referee goes, well, no. So, okay, referee, what should I do? Well, shoot the pair over. Okay, then they get whatever they get.
Yeah.
But that's a good one. Funny story, Justin. Talking about this wasn't cheating. This is about protests and putting in a protest. I've got to tell you this one. Never before in all my years of doing it. It was about 3 years back. I had a referee put in a protest.
A ref?
About a shooter. A referee put in a protest about a shooter. Well, that's new to me.
Yeah.
So I went and saw the referee. I said, "What are you doing?" He said, "Well, he was annoying me." I said, "Well, yeah, his mum and dad were there." Oh, God, here we go again. So I said, well, you can't put a protest in about shoot. If he's annoying, you disqualify him. I can do that. Well, of course you can. You're the referee. But that was the weirdest protest I've had put in. It was just, that was just funny. Anyway,
I will say, talk about protests for a minute. We've never talked about that on the show. Protests can happen at any shoot, but discuss the process. How does that work and how are they handled?
Well, the correct way to do it is that whatever the protest might be,
this is for shooters, not refs. This is for shooters.
Correct, yeah. The shooter, by the end of day, on the day of his protest, has to put a written protest in at registration. And for FITAS, usually they will charge a fee, whether it's $50 or $100. And if their protest is upheld, they get the money back. If their protest is not upheld, they don't get the money back. And I'm not sure if we charge anything for sporting or not. Anyway, it's immaterial.
Right.
I guess the fee is there just to say, are you sure you want to do this? So anyway, the protest will go in. And the protest will be looked at or read over by usually me, as the sort of the person that's there. And the protest or the jury is usually made up of 4 or 5 people that know the rules. And of course, they're out shooting or they've left for the day. So I've got everybody's telephone number if I need to call them in. Very rarely do I need to do that. So I'll read the protest. If it's a protest about the referee said I missed it and I hit it, I just screw it up and put it in the bin because that's going nowhere. If it's a rules violation, then I'll have to understand what was the circumstance of the violation. Then I go back and interview the referee and try to get him to recall what the instance was. And usually if it's got to the shooter protesting, usually there's some words of exchange and hopefully the referee remembers the incident, whatever it might be. Like I say, there's no point in putting a protest in if you're arguing the referee's call. Now, if it's a rules violation for whatever it might be, then we have to look at that. And we'll get protests put in, believe it or not. Shooters will put protests in about other shooters, and one of them, there was a guy shooting reloads, and I don't know whether the guy was on his squad or the next squad behind, saw him and put a protest in. This guy shooting up at blah blah blah. So I caught up with him, and the next day now, because the protest gets in, and I'll usually look at him at 5:30, something like that. Caught up with him next day. I said, "Are you shooting reloads?" No. Oh, can I have a look at your shells? Yep. I'm sorry, sir. I think these are reloads. And you can tell reloads. You know that as well as I do.
Right.
So in that instance, I don't need to necessarily call the protest committee. I will disqualify that shooter on the spot without even consulting the rest of the jury because it's done. It's a rule violation. Yes, he did it. I've seen it. I've got the proof. So that one is sort of a no-brainer. Very rarely do we get any protests that need the jury to consider or make a decision one way or the other.
So what can someone protest?
Well,
that makes sense. That makes sense.
Well, a number of things. If somebody, that's a good question. What can they protest? Well, I'm guessing the favorite one that they will is that if a target has changed, and that happened recently somewhere. Yeah, where was that? Was that at the regional or something, or it's something this year?
Yeah.
So 3 or 4 squads, maybe 5, however many squads had shot it. And then for some reason, and I don't know the reason, the target got changed. Whether it made it easier or harder, I don't know. It doesn't matter. So one of the people that had shot it saw it and went, the target's changed. Well, whatever. And it was determined that the target had changed. So now at that point, the jury would have to make a decision as to whether to get those 5 or 6 squads back to shoot the new presentation, or whether to throw that stand out and give everybody on that particular stand all hits. So that would be a jury decision on that point. But something has to be done because the targets change. The targets have to be the same for every shooter.
I think that was at North Central this year. I think that's where it was at the regional.
Yep. And because you can't protest, Batus in particular, and we get the biggest problem down in San Antonio is that with a 10-day tournament, we're going to get the wind out the south and we're going to get the wind out the north. We know that. We try and mitigate the best we can, but Batus typically, especially the way we throw them looping over, are going to be affected tremendously by a good strong wind one way or the other. Mm-hmm. And if you look at, if it's in an open field and you can see the Batus all stuck up, well, not now because it's so dry down in Texas, but it was wet and, they stick in the ground and stick up.
Yeah.
You can see a variation of 25 yards from where they're landing. You'll see them scattered across a 25-yard. That's the wind blowing one way and then the other way. You can't protest that. I mean, you can protest it, but if it's wind affected, then you really can't do anything about it. Now, on the other hand, if a target is wind affected and continually hits a tree and does not complete its whole flight, then you've got to mitigate that, whether you cut the branch off the tree or you move the target. The problem with moving the target is now when the wind drops off, now it's a different target.
Why throw it? Why throw a bat if you know it's going to be affected by the wind like that? Why don't you just throw something else? You like it to be affected by the wind, don't you?
No, I don't. No, I mean, we throw Batus. It's part of the arsenal of machines that we've got. So in some cases, I mean, I dislike Batus. You know that the Batu was never designed to be thrown the way that we throw it. You know that, don't you?
I didn't know that. Explain that. That's interesting.
Batu comes from the French word battre, which means to beat. The French word battre comes from the Latin battere, which means to beat. That target was developed in, I want to say, the mid-60s as a driven pheasant target. So batu means to beat, the beaters beating the pheasants towards you. So typically in that scenario, all the pheasants are driven towards you, so they're coming at you and you shoot them overhead. That's what that target was designed to do. Now, we don't typically do that here in the US. Very rarely do you see driven targets. They can be dangerous. Bits dropping on people, bits dropping on guns, especially with a lot of people around the shooting station. So we don't typically throw driven targets. We have, and we've done it in the past. So anyway, getting back to the Batu, it's only, I think before, I never saw a Batu thrown upside down until I saw them thrown that way in the States here. So throwing them that way is relatively new. So that's why I dislike them. But yeah, that by the definition of the way it flies, it's always going to be really wind affected. And that's usually at the tail end of the flight. If you can get it sort of about the same for the first 50% of its distance, it's still a valid target. It's still a valid target, even if it lands 25 yards further out, because it's got the wind behind it.
The Hall of Fame this year, a friend of mine's getting inducted into the Hall of Fame, and you're on that committee. How do you Why are you laughing?
You've been doing some homework, haven't you?
Yeah, I have.
Yeah.
Now
Yeah,
I want you to tell me how you decide, or how that group
yeah.
decides on the inductees.
Okay, and congratulations to Corey, Zach, Ron, and Dr. Sammy. They're all good people. Anyway, so you can put a nomination in on a form nominating somebody to be inducted into the Hall of Fame. Typically in the new year, February, March time, the committee, which is comprised of myself, George Hopkins, Joe Canty, Doug Fuller, and Pat Liskey.
Okay.
We'll get a copy of all those forms, and some are filled in fairly well. This guy has won this. He's been shooting this. He's shot 200 million targets, and he's a good guy. So we'll get the list of names in, and obviously the shooter category, or the categories of the Hall of Fame, are shooter, the Hill Adams Award, which is really for people that do an outstanding job with youth groups or youth groups in general. And then, of course, there's the How DuPont Service Award, which is for service, of course, not shooting necessarily. So we get the list of nominees in, and then if we don't know them, we'll do some homework and we'll say, okay, we'll have another conference call in another 2 weeks. That gives us time then to sort of pull up records of the shooting, ask around, do you know this guy if you personally don't know him? And they've got to be really sort of an outstanding character. Obviously, for the shooter award, shooting accomplishments is a big thing. But also, it's how you conduct yourself. What do you do for the sport? Are you a complete arsehole? Well, if you're a complete arsehole, you're not going to get in. I'm sorry, that's just the way it is. So we'll get all those facts and figures and get as much information about the nominees that we can, have a conference call, and then the rule is that we will discuss, we'll sort of do a general poll. And the rule that we made ourselves is that it has to be a unanimous decision. So all 5 of us have to vote yes to vote a particular person in. So it's really fairly straightforward, really, Justin, but with the people that we've got on there, all those people, of course, are Hall of Famers, and we take the job very seriously, and we do our homework on the people that put forward. And a nomination stays as a nomination for 2 years. So if you put a nomination in for somebody, that stays with us for 2 years, and then it drops off. And it can be nominated again, of course, after that.
So do you look at nominations and for example, the people that are being inducted this year, do you have to have whoever has the most nominations is who you look at first?
Typically, that's a good question. I don't think, well, maybe we have. We don't, typically it'll be 1 nomination per nominee. It's not a question of, we've got 10 in for Justin.
Right.
We've got 1 in for Justin. We've got 1 in for Joe. We've got 1 in for Neil. I think maybe we might have had occasion where there was 2 in from 2 different people for the same person. But that typically doesn't happen.
The future of nationals. So the future of nationals and the future of the sport. We talk about this all the time. We don't talk about the future of nationals, but we talk about the future of the sport. Give me your take on both.
Well, let's talk about nationals first. We're up at that. We continually grow. Nationals continually grows. And, and I hear the people griping, well, why doesn't it move? Why doesn't it go here? Why don't it go there? To be quite honest with you, and there are some, but there's not many clubs that could hold 2,200 people. I think you would agree with that statement. the infrastructure down at Nationals is second to none. Pete's guys and the team at Nationals do a phenomenal job of putting the whole thing together. I mean, it's just not put together in the last few weeks. I would like to see some changes, and I've discussed it. I would like to see, and this is just my personal opinion, this is nothing's happening, but I would like to see the Nationals finish on a Saturday, or the main event, not the Nationals. I'd like to see the main event finish on the Saturday, and we could quite easily do that because currently we don't shoot on Wednesday. So Wednesday is a cleanup day, make sure everything's good. So we don't shoot the main. So if we shot on the Wednesday, we could finish on the Saturday. I would then like to make another 100 course and have a cutoff for each class, whatever that cutoff number would be, the top 10, the top 15, whatever it might be. And then have them on the Sunday to shoot in a super final. And again, whether that's starting at 0 or adding it to your score, I don't know. But, the powers that be would sort that out. I think that would make it a lot more exciting. Drawback to that is that the people that come in on the first Saturday, Sunday to shoot that rotation, some of them leave. So if they did make the cut, well, are they going to come back? Maybe, maybe not. Is it unfair? Maybe not. But, if they don't want to come back. So that would also give us the ability then to do all the shoot-offs on the Sunday afternoon in the light. It gets very difficult doing those shoot-offs as it's getting that dark, dusky color. Targets get difficult to see. So that's my take on Nationals. We're full up as far as events go. We really can't get anything else in. We're unable to move events around, and I get that all the time. Why don't you put a main over on skeet fields? Well, yeah, we could. The problem comes that the main events are 10 stations. Super Sporting is 13. K-Cup is 13. So if I put a main course in where the K-Cup is, I can get 10 stations in there. I know that. Where now do I put the 13 stations? Because that won't go where we just took a main course from. So really, apart from swapping over Super Sporting, which is 13 stations, and New Style FITAS, which is 12 stations in essence, we swap them around. We swap them around sort of year on year. There's very little that we can do down there at Nationals as far as new events go. So, but there's things that we can do to change it. And like I say, I don't know whether the super final would ever happen. I didn't think the super squad would ever happen again after it was tried several years ago. And I think it was tried for 2 years, and somebody started crying and I don't like this. So they scrapped it, hopefully this one, makes it. I think it's a good idea. I like the idea, but hey, I'm just going to put the targets on. You shoot it,
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with
that. What was the second part of the question? Oh, the super sporting in general.
Yeah.
Well, we're doing pretty good. The sporting plays is really taking off, increasing in numbers. Obviously, from the business that I do, I know new grounds going in, not every week, but maybe I see them once every 2 months. So the sport is growing. When I see, where was it? It was Minnesota trap. I think it was the collegiate trap shooting tournament in Minnesota. And I think I got the number right. They had 8,000 kids. Maybe I'm getting the numbers wrong. Now, by default, some of them kids are going to get fed up with trap. Some of them are going to drop out. Some of them are going to find a girlfriend and find other things to do. But some of those trap shooters are going to find sporting clays. So I think our pool of shooters for sporting clays it certainly is not depleted yet, and we get the new shooters coming in. I mean, look at the young shooters we've got there now. Just an amazing group of people. So I think we will continue to grow. What I'd really like is somebody to negotiate with ISSF to get a form of sporting clays as an Olympic discipline. Now, it's been tried before, and always the excuse, I'm going to call it, from the Olympic point of view is that they said you can't repeat it. They want repeatability, same target trajectories. So I said, so the people, and I've had different discussions. I said, well, okay, well, we can do it. It would not be sporting where you walk around a course. It would be an amalgamation of 5-stand compact sport trap. And I said I could give you 9 different sequences of targets from traps placed at specific points in and around a skeet field. Skeet field is known dimensions. I can give you the dimensions of where to put this trap here on the left-hand side, and you can have 8 machines. The problem that they would want is that you'd have to drop the target, on a marker. So can you imagine throwing a batu, for example?
Yeah.
And the wind changes and you've got to drop it on the marker. But I think there's room for maneuver with what we've got going, and I'd like that group ISSF to sort of step up to the plate and say, let's try it. Now, if we got, let's call it sporting, and it wouldn't be English sporting as we know it, where you're walking around a course, but if we got that as an Olympic discipline, I think the whole thing would change. There would be people wanting to shoot that all over the place. Rick just qualified. Does it? Rick Mine just qualified for a quota place on the US team again?
Well, Derek Mine.
Derek, that's it, not Rick. Derek, that's right. Yeah, I mean, great. Anthony's done it. There's people that want to shoot those disciplines that get them involved in the Olympics, and I understand that. I shot for England in international skeet in '87. '87 wasn't an Olympic year.
Yeah.
Oh shit. So that's where I'd like to see us going. And of course we've got, the clubs still have to throw targets to draw in their customers, and we've seen it before that if you throw too harder targets, if you haven't got 2 courses, if you've got 2 courses you made, you can throw a harder course for those people that want to test themselves, and you can throw an easy course for people that want to break targets. People that want to break targets is the bread and butter of our club scene at the moment, I'm thinking.
Yeah, I agree with that. It'd be cool to see sporting clay somehow in the Olympics, however that is, but that would be neat. Well, listen, man, I really appreciate you coming on and talking to me tonight. I think if anybody's going to nationals, we've covered everything you need to know about the shooting process, how it works, and what to expect. So, now obviously you'll be there. Yeah.
And what's your role in this? And you can keep recording so everybody knows.
My role in what? Nationals?
Yeah, you said are you live streaming or what are you doing?
Yeah, we're supposed to interview a few shooters on Thursday, Friday, Saturday nights under the pavilion over there where the dinner's at. And on Sunday, I think we'll be on a station, which I would think it would be a little better if we could walk the course, to different stations. But however they're going to do it, it doesn't matter to me. But we're supposed to be on one station, and the people that come through to shoot it, we'll talk about stats. We'll talk about whatever we need to talk about, and I might even I might even make fun of some people. I don't know. It just depends. That's probably what I'll end up doing, is making fun of a few people. But you know what? It's okay.
Right.
We're all having fun.
Right.
So
Right.
I really don't know the exactly what we're going to do, but if we do it, we're going to try to do it right and make it enjoyable for people to watch. And it will be live streamed on YouTube. And Chris Claxton will be the video guy. If you know Chris,
right. Yes. Yeah.
He's done Anthony's video, working on Zach's video, and really good with a camera. Went to school for it. Does it for a job. So he's really good with a camera. So it should be good footage. He knows how to video a clay target, that's for sure. And as long as as long as we can keep up talking about the people, then it should be a good production. So we'll see.
Yeah.
I've heard we're going to have cameras out in the field pointing towards the people. Not real sure how that's going to work or if they're going to do that. I think that would be neat. I would love to see some drones flying around, but then again, I don't want somebody saying, "Hey, that drone messed me up and I missed the target."
Yeah.
But you can live stream all of that stuff, and that would be really neat to see. I just don't know I'm not the camera guy, so I don't know what they're going to do. But it should be fun.
Right.
We're going to stay out of everybody's way. It's not going to be. I'm not going to walk up and start talking to you and you're in the lead about.
Right.
You know what I mean? So. But it should be fun for people that can't be there, even for people that are there. To get on YouTube and watch a live stream national event. Right. I think it'd be neat.
Well, if you need anything or I can help you guys while you're there, obviously I'll be there. You can get hold of me. Well, you've got my cell phone number, of course. So if you need anything while you're there that I can help with, just give me a call, Justin.
I'll do it. And Neil, thanks for your time. I appreciate it. And I'll see you in a couple of weeks.